Hi guys. So today we're gonna talk about spirit guides, and I have a special guest here. Her name is Maria. She's a spiritual medium, coach, and healer. And yeah, so let's get into the conversation. Hi Maria.
Hi Nadia, thanks for having me. It's lovely to be here and be able to speak about spirit guides, which is one of my favorite themes. Thank
Uh,
you.
yeah, I'm so excited. I know because
Yeah,
we had this what was it, like a special group, right, that you did about
yeah,
spirit
we
guides, and it was so much information that I didn't know. I mean, I'm already into spirituality, but the information that you gave us was like mind blowing. I'm like, I didn't know this, I didn't know that, I didn't know anything about spirit guides apparently. So that's why I invited her for her to share all the experience and to get a better understanding what are spirit guides, how to work with them, why do you need them, right? And that's the first question. Like, or do you want to introduce yourself? Sometimes I
Yeah,
kind
sure,
of
of
go
course.
ahead of myself.
That's
Sorry.
okay. Well, my name is Maria Lovato. I'm a spiritual medium and a spiritual coach and a healer, amongst a few other things, but that's my main focus. I mainly deal with spiritual awakenings and spiritual readings. I also help people navigate the dark night of the soul after a spiritual awakening. And I'm here to, well, my purpose on earth is to just expand human consciousness and help people awake from the dream. So
Oh,
it's my
hey.
passion.
Okay, that's exciting. By the
Yeah.
way, Dark Knight of the Soul, we gotta talk about that one as well. That one should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting as well. Yes, yes.
Uh, yeah, can you just give us a couple words what it is? Maybe we can do it next
Well,
time.
when you go through a spiritual awakening,
Mm,
the way you see yourself and the way you see the world changes.
mm,
And because the way you start thinking changes as well, you
mm,
kind of lose grasp of the world. So the world
mm,
kind of starts disappearing. What
mm,
is familiar to you now starts disappearing, and sometimes it's very difficult to stay focused, to function in the outside world.
mm,
And it's called the dark night of the soul because a lot of people don't know how to get out of it. A lot of people can actually fall into depression if they don't know
mm,
how to navigate it.
mm.
And I help people through it,
Okay, that's
so
awesome.
they can navigate through it
uh,
safely
yeah.
without self-sabotaging and hurting themselves. And I help them and guide them um, to a new life after awakening. So yeah, it's
That
interesting.
sounds exciting. And that sounds amazing, to be
Yeah, I
honest.
love it. I love it.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe for next video we can do this. I mean, it sounds
Yes,
pretty promising.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
So let's get back to the spirit guides. So what are the spirit guides? I know a lot of people talk about it. A lot of people, I'm gonna, talk to my spirit guides. I'm gonna consult my spirit guides. But what they are, that's a question because sometimes we say something, but we don't know what it means.
Well, I think that in every culture around the
Mm,
world, there's always mention to some kind of spirit that
mm,
accompanies you through the whole of your life since
mm,
you were born until you just leave to the other side.
uh,
And we usually refer to them as like guardian angels, right?
mm,
But the
mm,
truth is that we do have a guardian angel, but besides the guardian angel who is with you sometimes through different lives, so accompanies
mm,
you through many different lives,
mm,
um, there's always a team of guides that are there for you through the duration of this life, and they can assist you in so many ways.
mm,
So I know that we speak about guardian angels, but those aren't the only sort of guides.
mm.
We can have power animals. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about them.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and we can have gods and goddesses. We can have, I don't know, we can have some people have um, beings from other planets and other
Mm,
galaxies. We can have all sorts of spirits who are not on the earth plane, who are on the next level. So disembodied beings who love us unconditionally. And I think that's one of the things that I really want to highlight here, that your spirit guides do love you unconditionally. There's no conditions to their love and their support. And they're there for us to guide us. I do think that it's like you were saying, oh, I'll consult my spirit guides, or I think it's good to consult your spirit guides, but we always have to think that this life is ours, and this is my own view of this. This life is ours, is for us to do the best we can, and they can guide us, they can protect us, they can give us some like directions, but they can't live our life for us. So if we go and ask our spirit guides, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? They won't tell you. It's your choice. They will probably say, follow your heart. But yes, in some situations, they do say, like they'll bring people to you, or they'll give you a nudge, like, oh, I need to go and talk to that person today. Oh, I really feel like this person has something for me, or to tell me. So they will often bring people together and will make situations happen, but they can't live our lives for us. And I think that that's important for the ones who are listening to this and who are like just beginning their journey. It's important to not create codependency. And that's one of the things that I do tell my clients when I work with them. Do not create codependency because, well, your guides will not support that. And you're in for a heartbreak.
Yeah, I see. So let's say a person somewhere, in a difficult situation where they have so many choices or a few choices and they don't know how to choose, right? So will the spirit guides, will the, divine guides help them in this situation? Like what kind of, how would they help in this situation? Because you say they don't give advice, right? But I'm like, well, I'm kind of lost here. So
no, they do. They right? can give you advice, but their advice cannot infringe with your free will. So, when you do cards, you do tarot, and
yes, I do. Yeah.
What you receive is always very cryptic. Like you have to make sense of it. Yeah. So one thing is for your guides through the cards or through trance or channeling to give you a few indications, like through tarot. And it's very different from having a conversation where I say to you, do this or do that. Okay. So if I say to you, do this, I'm taking away your free will. Right? I'm not giving you a choice. If I say you are going to win the lottery tomorrow, and then you are going to marry this person, and then you're going to have 2 children, I'm not giving you a choice, am I?
What kind of fun life is that when you know everything, right?
Exactly. And interferes with our free will. Right. And that's one of the spiritual laws that your spirit guides cannot break is your free will. It's yours. It's your birthright. So they will communicate in a way that they will give you advice, but they won't say, this is going to happen. They'll say, for example, and I had this several times, changes are coming. Be open-minded. Right? It's completely different from this is going to happen. So they will give you some advice to some extent, but they cannot give you details. So spirit will always speak in riddles, or they will give you symbols for you to interpret, because when there's interpretation, your free will is safe.
Oh, okay, I see. So it's like fairy tales, right? We read fairy tales, and the main main character comes to a certain situation, and like, oh, there's a riddle here. So we have riddles of our own in our own life, like in a story, right? So
exactly.
Riddles are actually pretty fun. So you gotta figure out, like, what does it mean? So what are the most cryptic messages that you received from your spirit guide? So like the cryptic where you're like, I have to think about it. Like, I'm not sure what that means.
Well, I had one the other day. I was in trance and I record my sessions and then I write them down.
Yeah.
But when I'm in trance, so my spirit guides come through. I'm in trance. It just comes out of the words come out of my mouth. Yeah. But I'm still conscious, so I can hear. I can still. It's almost like being under hypnosis. You know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I just heard the moment I sat down doing trance. I heard sonic blast, and it was like, okay, I just let it. Sometimes it's like that, and I have no idea what they're talking about. Sonic blast, and then they repeated it 3 times, and nothing else was coming. There was then a silence for like 30 seconds, and I was still in trance, like they're still here. What's going on? And then all of a sudden, this jet came very, very low. And it was like, when there's a sonic blast, like when you break the sound barrier and there's like, and that's what I heard. And it was like, okay. So I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was when they said sonic blast, and they kept repeating it. And then they just sent the jets. So it was almost like, what is this about? And then I had like 20 minutes of a session. There was complete silence outside. And they were talking to me about some personal stuff and some work that I've been doing. But then they said something about changes. And then they said, changes are like a sonic blast. They come really quickly when you don't even expect them. And then there was like 20 seconds or 30 seconds of silence again, and another jet did the same thing. It was like,
oh my goodness, no way.
So that was very like, oh my God. So yeah, sometimes it happens like that. You don't know what they're talking about, but then it's almost like a confirmation that you're not crazy. You're not making it up. Yeah, it's actually happening. So yeah, I have that all the time.
That's an amazing story. So how did you come to it? What was your journey to spirit guides?
Well, I've been a medium since I remember existing. And after my parents got divorced when I was 3, I used to see a spirit guide that she's still with me. She's been with me since I remember. But I used to have conversations with her, and she used to show up in my dreams, and I used to feel really sad and alone, and she would just sit by my side and kind of make me know that I wasn't alone. And it's funny because my dad used to say, oh, I remember you were so small, and you were always talking to this lady. Because my dad is very intuitive as well. And he just knew I was actually talking to somebody, which was good to know. But yeah, so it started there. Then through my teenage years, things were very dark for me. I was very lost. I think that my spirit guides kind of kept a distance because they didn't want to interfere too much. Although they were there and I could still feel them, there wasn't like actual conversations. Then when I started in my early 20s, I became a Reiki master, and I used to see spirit guides, talk to them while I was working with people, and it was very interesting. Then it kept evolving. I started working with people doing mediumship a few years later. Then a few years ago, I don't really know. I think it's either 9 or 10 years, something along those lines. I had a god coming to me, an Egyptian god, Thoth. And he started working with me, doing mediumship, and it was like crazy. It was very strange because I wasn't into Egyptian culture at all. I knew nothing about it. And he just showed up one day when I was going to do an evening of mediumship. And there he was, and he was like, I'm so-and-so, and I'm here to work with you. And I was like, okay. And this was like 30 seconds before I went into the stage to talk to 30 or 40 people. It was like, oh my God. Yeah, he stayed with me for a while. I learned a lot from him. I channeled 3 books with him. I'm currently channeling the fourth. And yeah, he's one of my spirit guides, and he teaches me so much.
That's amazing. So if my sound changes, I put some program because there's some background noise. So if I'm sound a
You
little
changed
bit,
your kind of
yeah, a little bit,
now.
that's okay. As soon as they go away, because we have like leaf blowers outside, and our walls are so thin. Like you can hear everything. I'm pretty sure you heard it before. So I put some block on it for a while until they go away, and then I'm gonna switch it back up the same way. Okay, so that's pretty exciting story. So do you see the spirit guides? Do you feel them? Like, how do you, I always ask this question to different people because, I learned from experience of others. So some people describe it, they see it, some people, they feel it, some people, perceive it in some other way. So how do you perceive your spirit guides? Like, what
Well,
do you?
it depends on the work I'm doing with them.
Okay.
So if I'm going to do trance, I feel them. If I'm doing channeling, I see them. It depends. It depends. Sometimes I go into meditation and I just see them and feel them. Sometimes I see them as almost as people.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But it's very rare. That is very rare. It happens sometimes, but it's rare. I usually see them with my mind's eye, so I know who they are. I can see them. But a few times happened that I saw them. It's like, oh my God, it's a full person here. What's happening?
So was it an actual person, or was it like
it was actual person, like he's
okay, so the spirit guide in the person, that's how it works, or
no, as in, when you see something in your mind's eye.
Yeah.
So
so
so someone's in the room. But another thing is actually seeing them with your physical eyes, as if it was somebody else in the room with you physically.
Okay.
I can't touch them. They're not there, like they're not real.
Okay, got it.
But I can see them with my physical eyes. So that is very rare. It happened a few times, but it's not the common thing.
Interesting. So have you ever met a person and the spirit guide was inside the person, or you felt like something like this, or no?
No, I do trance work with them, but they don't come into my body. So it's the trance, it's as far as I go. And it's when they come really, really close, and usually I kind of tilt to the side because I feel like I'm being pushed.
My personal space here.
Yeah, no, but they just come really close, and sometimes you do feel like there's something coming into your head. But it's the mind, so my mind and the mind of the spirit guide kind of merge, and it becomes one mind. So that's as far as I go with that. I don't do, like, my body's not available.
Okay, got it.
Some people do work like that. Some people do work like that, but I don't.
Okay, interesting. So what would one do if they don't know anything about spirit guides, but they want to kind of explore it, maybe talk to someone? Like, how do you start? Where do you go from point zero, where you don't know anything about spirit guides?
Well, I'd say that either talk to somebody you know and trust, and know that they know what they're talking about, because there's a lot of misinformation and wrong information out there. So I could say, go and look on the internet, but you don't know what's real and what's not. And you have to be kind of go only with what resonates with your heart. So if you read something and it doesn't feel right, just go somewhere else. If you talk to somebody and it doesn't feel right, go somewhere else. Just go with what feels right. Don't believe in everything that you read, because not everybody knows what they're talking about, and you have to keep yourself safe. At the end of the day, I think you need to keep yourself safe. So I'd say I think the best thing is either read a good book that there's good reviews about, or talk to somebody who knows what they're talking about. But if you really want to get to know your own spirit guides, I'd say the best way is start talking to them.
Okay, so what do you mean by start talking to them, right? Because usually, like, we normal people, like, do you talk into space? Like, do you imagine something? Like, what do you do?
You can think. You can think. So you can say, sometimes when something happens and I'm not very happy about, which doesn't really happen very often, because now I can control my emotions a lot better than I used to. But a few years ago, when something wasn't going my way, and I would say, like, okay, it's time to talk. So I would sit and I would, like, say out loud, okay, I need to talk to my spirit guides. You need to listen to me. I need your help. Or I'd say, I need some guidance. Or sometimes I would have a tantrum and say, what the heck is going on? But that was more rare, because they usually would say, do you think that's going to take you anywhere? Just stop. I was told off a few times a few years ago. Yeah, but it was very different times for me. I was just in the beginning, and I didn't really understand how things worked and what was what. But I'm a lot older now.
Okay, so you don't have any more tantrums, or
not tantrums anymore. No, I've learned to see that everything is value. So I'm now accepting a lot more. I understand that everything that happens has value, and there's always a lesson behind everything. So me getting upset only makes the lesson like last longer. And it makes you contract instead of accepting what the universe is bringing to you. So yeah, that has changed in me. I'm very different. But in the beginning, if I wasn't happy with something, I would have a tantrum. I'm not proud of saying that, but it's the truth.
No, I mean, we all do or did at some time, right? So whatever we are in our journey, at some point in our life, we had this, moment in our life where it's like, okay, everything is going wrong. What is going on here? Like, why is this happening? So someone tell me this.
Exactly.
That's the thing where what did you say? The dark side of this? What?
Dark night of the soul.
Dark night of the soul. That's how it starts, I guess, when everything goes wrong and you start asking questions, right? And you're like, why?
And you don't understand. So it's normal to have tantrums. And I do say to the listeners that it is normal, and don't beat yourself up if you do have a tantrum, and if you lose your calm and lose your it's normal. It's normal. It's okay. It's part of the process. Just accept it.
Yeah, it's a part of the journey, being human. And sometimes it's easy and exciting, and sometimes it's freaking hard.
Yeah.
All I can say about it. So just talking to the space, do you imagine, you told us there are so many spirit guides, right? So who do you talk to? Like, do you say this spirit guide is for this and this spirit guide is for that, or is it you talk to one about everything, or like what is the process?
The way I function is I know I have a team. I know some deal with some things and some deal with others, but I don't think it's for me to say this person should be dealing with this or that person should be dealing with that. So what I say is, if I'm talking directly to my spirit guides, I always ask my team or my spirit guides to come in and help. I don't say, I don't ask for anybody in particular. There are a few occasions, well, I would say a lot of occasions, when I just go straight to the source and I speak directly either with my higher self and say, please, can you send my team to help me? Or I just speak to the universe or to God or whatever you want to call it, like to the source. and I just say, okay, I'm struggling here. Can you please send some help? And I think it's a
Okay.
safer way.
So when you say your spirit guide team, like how do you get to know your team? And the second question, did you have any instances where the team comes, they kind of seem like all together, right? How do you see them, or how do you perceive them? Like come as a team, right? And they wait for you. That's how it is. So do they get along, like all of them, or is there any, where this one cannot be with this one and this one cannot be with this one, or they know
No,
all chill about it?
I think that, and I write this on the ebook about all about spirit guides. I wrote about this.
Okay, that's awesome. So by the way, information, Maria's information in the books will be in the description below. So check it out if you want to check it out.
Yeah, thank you.
Also about the book, but yeah, awesome.
Thank you. I think that we tend to think about spirit guides as people, like people like you and me, but they're not. They are on a level of existence that cannot be compared to ours. Okay, so they are. It's almost like they've been there. They lived the life. They evolved. They went to. Or if you talk about angels, they've never been in a physical body. They're just from higher realms of existence, so they can see things. First, they are like outside of time. So my spirit guide can be your spirit guide and the spirit guide of 1,000 more people, and be with everybody at the same time, because they are outside of time. Okay. Time, it's only a concept for us. It's only a concept that we need in order to understand or make sense of this existence. But time doesn't really exist. It doesn't exist.
Mind blowing.
We can talk about this in another session, but it doesn't really exist. So they're not bound by grudges and not getting along. That doesn't work. They have a common goal. They're there to protect you. They're there to guide you. They're there to help raise your consciousness and help you remember who you really are. So everything that you go through in life is a way of making you or helping you, facilitating the self-realization. So understanding who we really are, getting out of the illusion that we are just a body and the mind, and waking up to the reality of your true self. So they're not just people that don't get along. They're part of us. We're all part of the same one, aren't we? So that's how it works. I think that you asked how they show up, right?
How do you see them?
Yeah, I see them, but the way they introduce, I think you asked the way they introduce themselves, didn't you? How they start showing up.
Something like that, but yeah, that's very interesting. So let's say, how do you get to know your team, right?
Yes, that was the question. Exactly. Yeah. So for a long time, I was working with the public, doing mediumship and doing healing and all sorts. And I didn't have, my team was constantly changing. Yeah. So if I was doing work with you, I would have certain spirit guides. If I was working with someone else, I would get someone different. Okay. But a few years ago, it kind of started changing. And since Thoth, the Egyptian gods, started showing up, it's like my team is the same and I know them now. But it took me 40 years. So it's not something that you think, oh, I need this, or when the team is ready, when you're ready, they will show, they will introduce themselves.
Does everyone have a team, or it's just you because you work with it, right? So
everybody has a team. Okay. Everybody has a team, but the people who are working, like the light workers, people who are working, like when you do the tarot, you do, I don't know, can you hear my dog snoring?
Oh, my kitty is actually snoring too. She's like...
Sorry. Everybody has a team, yeah, but when you do work, when you do work with spirit, when you put yourself out there to start working with them, they will eventually present themselves to you.
Okay.
But it's not us who choose who will come, when they'll come. They will show up when you're ready. They will know when you're ready. So
you just sit and wait, basically.
Basically, but that's more for when you're doing actual work with spirit, right? So imagine that you don't do any work with spirit, but you'd like to meet your spirit guides. So that's different because you do have a team. It doesn't mean that you're going to work with your team. You're just getting to know them, yeah? So you can do that through meditation. So if you start talking to them and saying, I'd like to get to know you, for example, a week from today, I will sit in meditation and I'd love for my guides to show up. Can you please show up? And you just say it every day. You say, remind yourself, you say to them, look, in about a week, I'm going to do this meditation. I'd love for you to show up. And
is it out loud or inside your mind? Whatever.
You can think it. You can think it. They will listen. They will listen. So after those days, yeah, you spend the whole week saying that. After the week, you just sit in meditation. There's actually good meditations on YouTube to meet your spirit guides. They take you on a journey. Anything that just calms your mind and you can just follow. Usually they take you on a journey. You either sit somewhere or go into a house, and there's someone there to greet you, or someone will approach you and you'll know. Sometimes people will see them, they will show themselves. Other times you'll sense like a sense of smell or color. It doesn't mean that you'll see a person or angel wings, or it doesn't mean never go with preconceived ideas. Go with an open mind, just be willing to know them. Once you start making that contact, and it becomes easier because you'll start with a habit. You'll start noticing when they're around. They will show you that they're around.
Okay, how do they show that they're around? Like, what's your experience?
Well, there's loads of signs. Yeah, they can communicate with you with loads of signs. So some people like ask a question, they're a bit worried about something, they ask for help or assistance, and then they start seeing the same sequence of numbers everywhere they look. So that's an indication that we've heard you, we're here for you. Other times it's, for example, you're talking about spirit guides, you're talking about guardian angels. You get into the car, you turn on the radio, and there's this angel music coming out. There's this angel something, and it's like, oh my God, I was just talking about this. Or something, a book will fall off the shelf, or the kettle goes on by itself in the kitchen, something like that. Nothing scary, but if you do well, if you do ask them to prove to you that they are around, they will find a way to do it. You just need to pay attention because they're always there.
By the way, that's a so exciting feeling when you ask them and eventually you get that feedback. I remember the first time I realized it, I'm like, wow, I felt so seen, I felt so loved. It was so amazing. I'm like, this universe is amazing, our life is amazing, the way it works. I'm like, it's just so exciting, right? Because I was introduced to spirit guides I always believed in guardian angels because my grandma taught me to. I always believed that I have to. So during my tough times or scary times, I always asked them to help me out. But I didn't believe in spirit guides for a while, right? So it was just angels. I'm not sure why. The rest was kind of out of it. I guess it was my part of my journey. But eventually, the way they came to me, right, the spirit guides, it was a spirit animal. And I started seeing for a very long time. I think it's like a year. I've been seeing jaguars, and jaguar here, jaguar there, and then everywhere jaguars. I'm like, what does it mean? They're everywhere. So
They're
I was like,
awesome.
yeah, I was lost and I didn't know anything about spirit guides. And then eventually, started Googling or something probably. And then I, looked into totem animals, and then I looked into jaguar. And then I started reading the description, and like jaguar is this and this and this. And I'm like, oh my God.
It's
Now
standing
I
in your
know, right?
power, standing in your power and
Yeah.
coming out of the shelf and just owning your own strength, isn't it?
Yeah. So it was difficult period of my life, and it was really challenging. And then when I read this description, I'm like, well, someone supports me, someone is there with me, right? And finally I can talk to my spirit animal, and finally I can connect to it. So like I was so excited. But that's how probably, that was my way to get into spirit guides. And then eventually I started talking to my higher self, and other spirit guides. So that was exciting. But that journey where they push you, right? They give you the signs and numbers and this and this and this, and then eventually, like, whoa, finally, finally I
Yeah.
got there, right? So,
It's like they give you a few crumbs
yeah,
and you just go after one at a time. It's like, okay, all right, where's the other one? And where's the next one? Yeah, but
yeah.
power animals, they are very easy.
To connect to.
Yes, and they're not
Mhm.
scary. They are very even if you see a jaguar, you're feeling quite, oh, it's beautiful. You're not like,
Yeah,
oh my
like
God,
kitties.
there's an angel in my living room. It's different, isn't it? There's a
Yeah.
different connotation. So a lot of people starting getting introduced to spirit guides through power animals.
Jet, do you guys hear it? Talking about Jet. So how would you start with connecting to your, animal, to your power animal? So do you have any advices?
Excuse me. It's the same way. The way I started, because my spirit guides actually came before I found out about power animals. So when I heard about power animals, I was really curious, and I was like, all right, okay, I'm going to try. So I did a couple of meditations. I did a meditation with a lady a long time ago. So it was a guided meditation in person, and after that, I did quite a few on like YouTube because I thought it was really interesting. And then I just go out on a tangent and do my own. But it's like it's the same kind of concept. You have to go on a journey. You relax yourself. You just go on a journey. You can go into a forest, or if you don't like forests, if you think that they're creepy, just go to the beach. Just go somewhere where you feel comfortable. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Go on a journey and just ask to see the power guide, the power animal, and after a little bit, if you just sit there like under a tree or something and just wait, after a little bit you'll see something. And don't think that if it's not a jaguar and if it's a cockroach, for example, that it's not it. Yeah. It might be it. It might be what you exactly need at that moment in time. Because what I find with power animals is that they will show the animal that you need will show at the right time. So you were going through a difficult phase in your life. So you were given strength by the jaguar. You were given the stand in your power, put yourself out there, start walking your own journey. I had, for example, I had a white bear with me for a long time, a few years ago. And it was through my divorce. So I was like feeling I need the strength to do this. So I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
given a white bear. It's very fluffy and cuddly,
Oh,
but it was very scary
it can be
if
very
you went
scary,
on
right?
like on just
Yeah.
the back legs and did like there's like, oh, I don't want to mess with him. So it was a way to show
Yeah.
me that, you know what, I am here to protect you. You are okay. It
Mm.
was exactly what I
Mhm.
needed at the time.
Yeah. And they
So
can change. So one day it can be, a bear or a jaguar, another day it will be something else, right? So for me, it always
exactly.
changes constantly as well, depending on which journey I take and the time of my journey and all of this stuff. So it's very interesting. When you're talking about bear and you're talking about cockroach, so I had this person and they're like, well, I'm interested into spirit guides, right? So can you guide me? So we did, as you said, guided meditation, personal one, right? So I'm a hypnotherapist, so I do that as well. And he's like very successful man, and he's like very powerful. It's like, ooh, right? So something like this. And then he sees a little fluffy rabbit. And he's like, no, it cannot be. It cannot be a rabbit because I'm a strong man, right? I'm this and this and this. In the self-perception of this person, like, no, it cannot be. Why a rabbit? I'm supposed to have a jaguar. I'm supposed to have a bear, right? Something strong, something masculine, something powerful, right? So it depends again on the time of your journey and probably what kind of energies you need to help you out during this journey. So then you have to go and look and ask the spirit guides, right? Like, what does it mean? What you come to help me with, right? So what I need to learn from you. So that kind of stuff. So yeah, so it can be anything. And
Exactly.
probably something that you're not expecting, which is kind of exciting part. It comes like, oh, that's so cool.
Just don't dismiss anything because it's
Yeah.
even a flea can be relevant to your
Mm.
journey.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
then you can go and Google and see what this power animal means, because sometimes they come and like, why is this? I don't understand, right? So if you go Google it, then you'll find some qualities and like, oh, okay, this makes sense. And if you at the beginning cannot talk to them well or cannot understand or information doesn't come, um, you know, probably go to you or me to someone else, because it's very helpful when you work with someone else that knows, that can guide you. When you do it on your own at the beginning, it can be, it can be frustrating because sometimes information doesn't come, or it can be, like, am I doing it right? This freaking out, mind freaking out. You're like, oh my God, I don't know. Did I see it? I didn't see it. Like, am I supposed to see it? Or I just felt it right. So it can be very confusing at the beginning, but once you do it with someone, it kind of, they help you, they guide you. So that's my advice. Preferably do it with someone because it's more exciting and it's more
Yes.
powerful, and then like, mind blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not just that, when you're doing it with somebody who understands the journey and who can actually guide you through it, it's almost like they can interpret it um, in a level that when you're starting you might not be able to. For example, we usually go into things with preconceived ideas. So if I think that I'm not going to see a rabbit, I'm going to see a jaguar. And even if the even if the rabbit comes, you'll dismiss it. Or if you're expecting it to talk to you in words and it's just talking in feelings or emotions, or it's
Yeah.
bringing something different, it's like you might not be able to understand the full picture. So yes, it's good and it's worth going to see somebody who knows what they're doing and you trust. And I think that it's just like hypnotherapy. You have to trust the
Yeah.
person you're working with, because
Yeah,
not
exactly.
everybody is for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. So the number one rule, if you don't feel good when you're doing it, don't do it, right? So if you feel like, no, that's not the person for me, just go find someone else. There's so many people out there. It just, mind-blowing. So you will find when you ask, eventually you will be given. So you just gotta ask and say, I need to find my person that I can work with, and then eventually you'll find that person. You'll be like, finally, it's a completely different experience when you trust, and when you go through the journey with trusting and feeling good about it. Because if you don't feel good about it, the information doesn't come. The journey might be not so good. Like everything just goes sideways. So yeah, find someone that you can actually trust. And another thing I wanted to talk to you about before we finish, and we said we're gonna do 30 minutes, and here it's almost an hour already.
It's okay.
The topic is so exciting. If someone is watching until this part, you guys are amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. So let's do one more important part that I feel everyone needs is talking to a higher self. Like, can you give some advice talking? Because we need our higher self, because it's our higher self, so it's a part of us, right? So how do you talk to it? How do you connect with it? Like, what is the process? What is your advice?
The way I contact my higher self is I just go into meditation. I go into meditation, and I already have a place where I know she will be, which is the same place where I always meet her. So I always
have a special place for meetings, right?
Yeah. Okay, so I always know. It's very funny because she always presents herself the same way on the same place. So she looks exactly like me, but she wears a ponytail, which I do once a year. Because I don't really like it. Because it's just not like me, yeah. Oh, but she always shows up with a ponytail, which I think it's just so cute. Yeah, but it's exactly the same process, It's all it's almost like the mind can take you where you need to be, but then you can't really trust the mind. So you use the mind as a tool to imagine, to visualize, to get there, to ask, but then you get there and you just go blank, and you allow, and you see what comes, because it's only when you quiet your mind that you are actually opening up to guidance from that doesn't come from your ego, but it comes from spirit, or from your higher self. Now, one thing that I do now is that you don't have to go into meditation to contact your higher self, because your higher self contacts you 24 hours a day. Constantly. It's constantly there. Yeah. It's constantly speaking, and it's your intuition, and it speaks to you through the heart. So I rarely go into meditation to contact my higher self nowadays. I listen to my heart. So every day, everything before I do anything, I've been on a mission since last year to completely trust my heart. So before I do anything, I always pay attention. How do I feel? Am I contracted? Is this where I want to go? And it talks to me, not in words, but in sensations, in feelings. And I just know. Sometimes I have this. For example, I'll take my dog for a walk, and it's like, I don't want to go that way. Well, I really want to go the other way. So today I go this way. I don't know, half a mile down the road, there's somebody I needed to meet. This happens all the time, just because I now trust it. But you don't really have to go into meditation to contact your higher self, because it's always talking to you.
Always there with you. So I know in the beginning it can be a very confusing process. So if you go into meditation, and I know a lot of people have challenges with this, because I do hypnosis and I went through it myself, where at the beginning, where you start, you kind of confuse. You're like, am I thinking it with my rational mind? Is it coming to me from somewhere? How do I distinguish between two? Am I imagining, right? I'm not imagining, like, what's going on here. I probably just blabbing something, imagining, and probably not the right information. And how do people channel, and how does it come? Like, it can be so confusing in the beginning, which is totally okay, right? Have you gone through this process as well?
It's very, very usual to you just doubt everything, absolutely everything.
It's your mind doubting, not you, but your mind.
Exactly. So when that starts happening, and when we start questioning everything, am I crazy? Is this real? Is this? It's all in the mind. Yeah. So what you want to do is get out of the mind and get into your heart. So the way to do that is just take a deep breath. The moment you take a deep breath, it's like your whole system kind of quiets. And then if you do it a couple of times, it quiets, And then you start thinking, well, you're not thinking, but focusing your attention into your heart. So you come out from your mind, you go into your heart, and even your speech kind of slows down. So you start, I do this all the time. This is really good. You just take a deep breath, and then you visualize the air coming through your nose, down your throat. And instead of going into your lungs, it goes to your heart. And then you take another deep breath, and it goes again to your heart, but now it expands a little bit more. And then with the next breath, it expands a little bit more. How's your mind now?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Quiet, like isn't it? So that brings you out of the mind, out of the ego and the chatter, and it brings everything down. So if you're struggling with something, or if you really don't know what to do and you need some direction, first thing is focus on the heart. So bring the attention from the mind back into the body, into the heart. Just focus on it for a few minutes, and then sit and have a meditation, but with the mind calm.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I've never tried this, so I really like it. It's kind of going and expanding, and you feel like so much better and calmer. And I was before like, oh, jumping. It kind of changes your state completely and gets you out of your mind. My advice would be that eventually you will get to that point, because I'm a thinker. My mind is like constantly on 24/7, and it's just all over the place. Honestly, sometimes, so many people told me, you think too much, and I do. know that. But eventually, for me, the distinction is, I figured it out, is the feeling, right? And the feeling and the voice. So when I hear the voice, when it's coming from somewhere, it's a different voice, it's a different tone, it's a different tonality. It's still my voice in my head, right? But it's kind of on a different level. And after I get this voice, there's no emotion. You just feel the same like we felt right now when we went through the heart meditation. You just feel like, and nothing is happening. You're not excited, you're not in fear, you don't have any emotion except just acceptance. So I'm not sure how to describe it, but just peace. Yeah, so you kind of know it. I don't know, for me, like, okay, I received this information and I know it's right. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to describe it. No, I'm pretty sure everyone gets it different. Someone gets pictures. Some people get words. Some people get different tonalities, right? Some people get different feelings in the body. So you kind of get to work with yourself and figure it out, and through experience, because everything comes with experience. For me, I was that kind of person that could never meditate, that could never concentrate on something. I didn't trust myself at all, because I'm like, I'm not sure. Is it my intuition? Is it my mind? What's going on there? So it takes some practice. So if you just, starting in this journey, it's completely normal to have all these fears, emotions, and thoughts ruminating through your head, right? So totally normal, and just that's the experience. That's a journey. So eventually you will get to that part where you're like, okay, I know now it's coming from somewhere else. I know that that's the information I'm supposed to receive, and you kind of feel in peace, and you feel different feelings, or you see different pictures, or you see, like, you experience different voices, right, or feelings. So it all depends on the person. Again, we perceive all differently, right? So for me, it's this way. For you, maybe something else, and for other person, something else as well. So, but once you get to that point, it's like, it's just, transformative. It just completely changes your life, because you finally trust in yourself. You finally trust in the, universe or God, and, creator. And it just, it's amazing. So if you're at the beginning of the journey, please continue. Even if you're, not sure, confused, or struggling right now, it's gonna get better eventually.
It will, and there's it is different for everybody, but there's a couple of things that are always the same. So it's the feeling that you were talking about when you know there's just peace. Okay, like, for example, you have to make like a decision and you're not really sure, and you're very upset about it, or very like all over your mind is all over the place. You just calm down, and all of a sudden you have this, oh, I know exactly what to do, and everything is just, I know.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And there's another thing, is that your intuition, your higher self, is very quiet. There's no urgency. Okay, so the ego is like, you need to listen to me, this is gonna happen. But your higher self, it's like, it's okay, look at that, oh, how pretty is that? So it will try and not to say, you have to go there. No, it's like, oh, look, how pretty is that? And it will kind of bring you where you need to be. Like, oh, I'd like to go there. Oh, I wonder what they're doing somewhere. Oh, I'm going to go and check. But it's not like, you have to go there. It's never shouting. It's never, there's no urgency. It just kind of gives you a nudge. Oh, I'd like to know that. Oh, I'd like to go there. So that's like the same kind of feeling for everybody. It's always very calm and peaceful, and there's no urgency.
That's true. You know what just came to my mind? Usually when I'm in my head and I'm like, okay, I cannot get out of it. Sometimes it happens to me, even though I do self-hypnosis, and even though I know all of these things, but sometimes, your mind is just like, and you're like, oh, no. So what I do, I go to nature. So nature gives you the same feeling. Like, you don't even have to do anything with your mind, but as soon as you're in the nature, you just, the same peaceful feeling, like whatever you love, the ocean, right, water, or maybe forest, or whatever it is. If you're in the nature, you kind of feel this kind of feeling. So the best decision that I make is this, where I go alone somewhere in the nature, and then I just walk and just, take in this peaceful energy, and your mind kind of becomes clear, because there's no distraction, there's no phones. Don't take your phone with you because it's kind of completely counterproductive. So so just go alone and just be, in this peaceful environment, and after 5, even 10 minutes, it's completely different state, where you can make decisions from your heart, where you can make decisions that actually help your life, right? Where you're not like, and then I don't know what to do, and then you're freaking out, and then, doing some radical decisions that you probably shouldn't be doing, and it's not going to improve your life. It's going to make everything worse, right? So that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure if it's the same with you. Like, do you ever go to nature to kind of get that peaceful?
I do, but I do have something else when I can't go out. There is something else that I do, and that you can do at home, that I love doing it. And it kind of brings, it's wonderful if you're too concentrated in your mind. It's very simple, but I'd say just don't do it in front of other people, because it's better to do it on your own. But just it's like, just stand up with your feet a little bit apart, and just if you don't have problems with your balance, just close your eyes and just let the hips move. one side to the other
Okay,
side,
interesting.
and
Yeah.
just concentrate on the movement. So when you're focusing on the movement, you're not in your mind. Yeah. So you're coming down into your body. So just do that for a couple of moments and feel, because after a little bit, your body is going to tell you what it wants. So it might want you to move your arms as well, or it might want you to jump, or might want you to do something else. But this exercise kind of grounds you, brings you
Puts
back
you in the body. Yeah.
in the body, exactly. So the mind kind of quiets down. And it's funny because I wrote a blog article about this exact same thing today, about this, explaining this exercise.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's synchronicity.
Yeah, so it's really good. I do it all the time, to be honest. I love it. I do it almost every day. I like dancing.
Okay, that's very exciting. That's amazing. So you wrote a few books, right? And you do blog. What else do you do?
I'm a ghostwriter, so I
Okay.
write spiritual articles for other people's blogs that don't have my name, but I love doing it, so it's fine. Yeah, I'm a best-selling author. I write ebooks for people. I don't know, I have a couple of Facebook groups. I don't know. I am very active. I have one hand in each pot, like one finger in each pot. I'm everywhere, because I work with other light workers. I'm trying to bring the energy of those who are working already a little bit higher. So I'm very involved in that as well. And I love it. I love it. That's amazing. I love what I do.
You live from your art every single day, right? So whatever comes to you, just do.
Sometimes I don't like it, but I follow it.
Okay, so
like, for example, I'll explain it. For example, your heart doesn't always make sense. Yeah, like your intuition doesn't always make sense. It might say to you, for example, you have to trust that this is going to be okay. And everything in your mind is saying, it's not possible. It's not going to be okay. How can you trust? Yeah. So you have a choice. Either go with the mind and not trust, or go with your heart and trust. So I don't always like it. My mind doesn't always like it. But when I know that it's coming from the heart, I trust it, and I go and do it.
Oh, okay. Okay, interesting. Okay, that's a good advice, because sometimes, there are situations in life you're like, oh, I don't really want to do it. So doesn't mean my intuition is telling me not to do it, or it doesn't mean so you're never really sure what to do. So listen to your heart and then decide. And sometimes you might not even like it, right? So that's the advice.
I think that if you concentrate on what your heart is telling you, if it's something that doesn't serve you, that doesn't serve the highest good of you and those involved with you or in the situation, your heart will contract. With experience, you will know. Or even if you're unsure, you can play a situation in your mind like, okay, what if I make this choice? How would I feel afterwards? What would happen afterwards? And how does your heart feel? And we're going back into the spirit guides again. My guides, in every session, in every conversation, they say, we can only show you the way, but you have to trust your heart. You know the direction, you know where to go. You don't even need us, because it's the heart. You have to trust the heart. And just another thing that I think it's curious is that if you're familiar with the chakras, up to the third chakra, it's 3D life, right? It's this 3D. We're very much in our minds, we're very much in the body, in the physicality of things. But we're evolving, we're changing, we're going into the fourth density or 5D. But yeah, we go into the fourth, which is the heart. It's the next one. And the heart is it's where you are. It's where your true self is. It's where your higher self is, where the soul is. So when you go into there, you're no longer kind of locked into place into the 3D world. you start seeing things in a different way. You start functioning from a higher perspective. And that's what we're trying to do. The light workers are trying to bring everybody into the heart. That's a big part of my work.
That's amazing. And I wanted to add, that my situations in my real life, you're right. So sometimes you don't want to do it, but the heart tells you to, and which is kind of interesting because that's the same for me with writing. So I'm writing a book, right? And sometimes it can be painful. Like I write about emotions, I write about feelings, and when I write, I experience those emotions and feelings, and it can be, a lot of work, and then you have to go through all these emotions again. So sometimes I'm like, I don't want to do it, right? Because it can be painful. It can be, bring up some feelings. It can be this, it can be that, or especially editing for me. Like I don't like editing. But at the same time, my heart is like, eventually, even sometimes I resist. Eventually, I get there and like, I'm still gonna do it, no matter what. My heart is telling me that I want to do it. This urge, this feeling that I'm supposed to be doing it. It just comes over, it takes over. Like, okay, I don't like it, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Exactly.
Then you start changing your perception. Like, okay, maybe this can be fun, right? Or this can be something else, or maybe you can enjoy it at some point, right? And when you go into it, I think that's a fear of starting it, because when you start, like before I start, I'm like sometimes I have this feeling like, I don't want to do it. I don't want. Once you start, once you let go of this fear, once you let go of all the control, right? You start doing it. You're like, well, that's actually pretty fun. That actually I enjoy it so much, right? So it was kind of scary before, but once you go into it, like I'm doing great. I'm feeling good. Like I can continue hours and hours. Like I literally can sit sometimes and I write all day. Like it just going and going and going, and without eating or doing anything, like, that's it. So that probably kind of channeling that goes on there, because there are days that I can do it and days like I'm not really interested. So I also kind of go with the flow and see whatever comes to my mind. But you're right, sometimes it kind of feels like I don't want to do it, but once you start doing it right, it feels right. I don't know how to explain it. It's like, yeah, I'm doing the right thing. So
Exactly,
it feels
exactly.
good. Yeah.
But if it doesn't, then it's not the right thing. But if it does, then oh, all right, okay. But your mind will fight it. Your mind will fight it, because everything that comes out of the comfort zone, or everything that is to change your situation, your mind doesn't want, because the mind likes habit, likes what is familiar. Everything that is outside the box, it's dangerous, and the mind won't let you go there. So it will do exactly. So it's having that understanding and thinking, okay, this is just the mind trying to control. So once you let go of control, which is a big thing, when you let go of control and just trust your heart will guide you, you will do it. After a while, you don't even think about it. You just go and do it.
That's true. So it comes with experience, and you just get started. As soon as you started, you're like, okay, I can go forever.
Exactly.
If it's your thing. If it's not your thing, then it's a different story. You're right. So you gotta kind of distinguish. So I think we've been talking a lot. I think it's going into second hour. So maybe we should wrap it up and continue next time. There are so many topics that we can discuss. So I'm pretty excited that. So thank you for coming. I'm pretty sure we're gonna do it again, and we have a couple topics that we already found that's pretty exciting. So did you want to say before we wrap it up something?
No, I just wanted to say thank you for watching, and thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure. It's one of my favorite themes. So yeah, very good. Thank you. And I just want to say, just don't try to control everything. For those of you listening, just don't try to control everything. Trust the heart. It will always guide you where you need to go. So just let go of control, surrender. It will be okay.
That's the advice for me too, because my mind is very controlling. Sometimes it gets to the point where like, no. So it takes some time for me to get out of it. So, again, like you gave so many great advices also. I talked about nature and stuff. So whatever helps you to get out of this control and in your body, into your art, but definitely do it, because that's how you change your mind. That's how you change your state. That's how you change this control that is like, and then you're freaking out, and then it's not helping you, and it's good to remember that. And that's a good reminder for me, because I've been in this state for a couple of times past week. So sometimes it just, I realize it, but I'm like, okay, I gotta take some time. I gotta take a few deep breaths, right? And then, go do something that doesn't involve my mind. So actually, anything that doesn't involve your mind is helpful. So even for me, sometimes I need. So knitting for me is, getting out of my mind, which is amazing because it's like automatic, right? Or writing or doing something else, whatever doesn't involve your mind, whatever you do with your body, like even exercise can be very helpful. So anything you guys can do to get it out of your mind and get into your art, yeah, you definitely, definitely do it.
Definitely.
Okay, so thank you so much for coming. We're definitely gonna do it again. Thank you for watching, guys, because I think it's been an hour and 20 minutes at this point. We were thinking about like 30 minutes, that's it. So if you watched that far, I applaud you, and I hope you liked it, and thumbs up, likes, share if you would like to share, because this information was amazing. Thank you, Maria. It was so helpful. It was so eye-opening. It was like, mind-blowing at some points, and so many good advices. So thank you so much for coming. And,
Thank you.
I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.